All right, I'm sure this is the morning you've all been waiting for. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Moro Awood. It's always a pleasure coming your way on a beautiful Saturday morning like this. It's been one of the most topical, the most, perhaps, most talked about issue in the course of the week. And I'll be letting you know what exactly I'm talking about. Before I do that, let me just say that Inside Pages digs deeper into the pages of the most talked about issue in the course of the week. What we do is that we invite the right guest and we discuss the relevant topics with them, and that's exactly what is going to happen this morning. But as I did indicate, it's been the most interesting week this week, and what are we talking about here? It has to do with the purported sale of the Achimota forest. Now, this was an issue that came up. Social media went buzzing, it went ablaze, everybody was talking about it. It got the Minister for Land and Natural Resources to come out and hold a news conference to debunk it, to dismiss it, and to say, or to deny it, and to say it is not true. Went ahead to explain exactly what's happening. So this morning on Inside Pages, we'll be looking at the full details of what has happened in the course of this week, and would have to answer the question as to whether indeed the place has been sold or has not been sold. And for me, the most important thing is whether or not the Owu family actually deserves this parcel of land and that discussion. And then also we'll look at the incident in Nkranza where two people, as we speak, are dead. One was suspected to be an armed robber, as the police has told us, and one other guy who died in the course of fighting for justice. It's been a very, very turbulent week for the people of Nkranza, even though now some calm has returned. My name is Moro Audu. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll take a short break. When we come back, I will be introducing my guest or resource persons. Okay, so welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. We'll now do the reporters block, after which, when we come back, my resource persons would have been seated.
Drivers say it previously took them less than 20 minutes to cover the 24-kilometer stretch of road in previous times, but presently they spend more than an hour to cover the distance due to the bad nature of the road. Maintenance works have not been carried out on the road, causing it to deteriorate. The road serves as a major link between the central and eastern regions, and also a major road used for carting food stuff. The commuters plying this stretch say it's costly as it leaves them with spinal cord and waist pains. Commercial drivers say business is no longer lucrative since major chunk of their earnings go back into maintaining their vehicles. Speaking to Metro News, they expressed disappointment in political office holders, especially the members of parliament for the Owutu-Sunya East and West constituencies. They say the duo are supposed to join forces together to fix the road in fulfillment to their campaign promises, have deliberately signed away the promise after winning in the parliamentary election. Some of them have threatened to boycott all political events should the road continually remain in its current state, even as they earnestly begged government to fix the road.
Because of the poor nature of the road, we spend an hour when we ply it. In fact, the nature of this road is very bad.
We are really suffering, and the drivers are suffering the most. Can you imagine that machines have been left on the road to repair them, yet work hasn't started? Drivers would always have to visit the mechanic shop once they use the road for about 3 or 4 times. We don't know what is going on. We are quietly observing them. They will surely come here to campaign during election period, and we will gladly wait for them.
We are pleading with the president and those in authority. We beg you in the name of God, please fix our roads. We are really struggling, from fuel hikes to deteriorating roads. This is too much for us. We are depending heavily on you. estimated 27.3 million people in Africa, including Ghana, are facing acute food insecurity between March and May 2022. The number is projected to increase to an unprecedented 38.3 million between June and August 2022 if humanitarian interventions are not scaled up. Currently in Ghana, food shortage has resulted in food prices shooting up high. In a phone interview, Edward Kaire, General Secretary for the General Agricultural Union of Ghana, says food in stock is not adequate to sustain citizens if nothing is done about the situation on the ground.
And Ghana as a country is food insecure now. Our food insecurity is high. Food prices are high beyond the reach of the vulnerable in particular. And the food is not also available the way it should be. Simply, there's no food in the country. There's no now to talk about enough. There's a buffer stock company which normally has to buy food to stock and release it at the time that prices are up so that it can bring down prices. But nothing is being done. But we already know that particular company is also constrained. It doesn't have the resources to buy the foodstuffs and stuff. And so it's really a big challenge for us now. We just do not have the food to now talk about.
Peasant farmers are, however, complaining that the ban has had adverse effect on them.
The problem is that the bulls are not buying again, and the problem is that we have get a loan from the banks. So the government has closed it. We can't get the money back to the bank. That is our problem.
Now, like me, I'm a farmer. I don't have a tractor. So I have to sell my soybeans and get to my farm. So if I don't sell it, how am I going to farm?
Peasant farmers, traders, and consumers agree there is a need for an urgent far-reaching intervention from government to increase yield and bring about lifting of the ban to make businesses thrive and bring relief.
Crowd control remains paramount in the work of security personnel. In recent times, the police, in the quest to manage angry crowd, have ended up killing some of the protesters. In Kaswa, 2 police officers, Lance Corporal Isifu Tahiru and Corporal Samuel Boama, missed their shot, which led to the death of Musa Muhammad during a confrontation with some customers of JVC in 2019. In another development, soldiers in their bid to manage the crowd at Achimota on Sunday, April 5, 2020, mistakenly shot a civilian alleged to have attempted disarming a soldier. In Edra, in the Ashanti region, 2 protesters were shot dead and several others sustained various degrees of injuries while protesting the killing of Kaka, an activist and a member of #FixTheCountry movement. Another incident occurred in Lamashegu, where 1 person reportedly died while several others sustained various degrees of injury after some police personnel in Tamale clashed with the youth of Lamashegu. The police officers were later interdicted. The latest is in Nkranza, in the Bono East region, where the community accused the police of killing an innocent trader in a suspected armed robbery incident. The family of the 28-year-old trader alleged to have suffered police brutality. During a protest by angry youth on Tuesday, the police allegedly shot and killed 1 of the young persons, leaving several others injured. The latest incident has sparked outrage among community members.
All right, so this is Inside Pages on Metro Television. So that's the reporter's blog we just brought to you there. Now, what we intend to do is that we have some videos we intend to play, which is in relation to the bigger story, what has happened in the course of the weekend, which has to do with the purported sale of the Achimota forest. As I did indicate, the minister has come out to say it is not true. So we have some videos we'll be playing to you to take you down memory lane. And then when I come back, I'll be introducing my guest. So, and my guest, and also the WhatsApp line for those of you who have comments that you intend to share, or you have opinions or views that you intend to express as far as this matter is concerned. As I also did indicate, our second topic would have to do, or has to do, with the disturbances in Nkranza, where two people, as we are talking to you now, have lost their lives, and the police administration promising that it would do anything and everything possible to get to the bottom of this matter. And so these are the two issues for us this morning. You don't want to miss it. So let's watch some of these videos because a lot has happened. The minister has held a news conference. The Forestry Commission and the deputy minister have been to Achimota Forest to, show to journalists or the media exactly which portion of the Achimota Forest is being talked about or is going to be given to the O family. The O family themselves have also, through their lawyer, issued a statement. The lawyer has also spoken to Metro TV. So there's a lot of things we're going to show you. So watch this.
We have not amended the EI to give away the Achimota Forest. We've amended the EI to give away the portions of the land which was acquired in 1927, which is not being used for a forest reserve. And in actual fact, that act was done as far back as 2013. The general public is entreated to disregard these reports as they are false, baseless, and non-factual. Indeed, what the propagators of these messages have refused to add is that EI 144 was published together with the Forest Achimota Firewood Plantation Forest Reserve Amendment Instrument 2022, EI 154, which I'll be making available to you, members of the press. So, for the avoidance of doubt, President Akufo-Addo nor myself intend to sell or redevelop the Achimota Forest as currently constituted. On the contrary, we intend to enrich the Achimota Forest, revamp it, and hopefully transform it into the likes of Hyde Park of London and Central Park of New York, where Ghanaians can go and enjoy forest, the beauty of nature and forest reserve as it happens in other parts of the world. With all the strength I can marshal at my disposal, the Achimota Forest Reserve remains intact. Whereas the President of the Republic is satisfied that the remaining portion of the land specified in the schedule should remain as a forest reserve, and whereas the President of the Republic is satisfied that the ecological integrity of the land specified in the schedule should be protected. In exercise of the power conferred on the President by Section 2 of the Forest Act 1927, Cap 157, this instrument is made this 21st day of April 2022. Title: Declaration of Land Remaining as Forest Reserve. Paragraph 1. The land specified in the schedule to this instrument is declared to remain as water forest. Protection of the ecological integrity of land remaining as forest reserve. 2. Paragraph 2. A person shall not carry out any physical development on any adjoining land that is likely to adversely affect the ecological integrity of the land specified in the schedule. Signed, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. For the avoidance of doubt, to reaffirm that the Achimota Forest remains a forest reserve.
Since news broke of the government's intention to declassify portions of the Achimota Forest, some Ghanaians, including the minority, have criticized the government of scheming to sell the state property for personal gains. It is in this light that the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources, together with the Lands Commission, put together a tour of the forest to prove government has no intention of selling the Achimota Forest.
The government, our ministry, and our agency, the Forestry Commission, has within the past 4 years been undertaking, I would say, an aggressive reforestation of this particular forest. So please, we want Ghanaians to understand that the Achimota Forest has not been sold and is intact, and we are even making more efforts to make sure that it becomes the forest that we know. So with all such developments, why would we want to sell the Achimota Forest? Please, Achimota Forest has not been sold, it's not for sale, and it will not be sold.
He explained that the 361 acres of land being given out as compensation to the whole family are not within the forest reserve but the periphery of the forest.
We have declassified the peripheral portions for the pre-acquisition owners. Yes, of course, on humanitarian grounds, they deserve something. And also, it's their constitutional right to be compensated. Don't forget that the Constitution states that all lands that go under compulsory acquisition, the owners have to be compensated, and compensation must be prompt, adequate, and fair. Declassifying a forest is not a small joke. It entails a lot of thoughts, a lot of research, a lot of technical know-how to be able.
Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, John Alute, who joined the tour, said efforts are being made to improve the forest reserve.
If you go inside, you will realize that this is where the typical, what we call Achimota forest, this is the way it is, full of shrubs. So these are the trees we are planting in the Achimota forest. If you go to the other side, you see a lot of planting that has been done there to improve upon the landscape of the Achimota forest, to plant more trees here. So each year, Green Ghana, we are going to plant more trees here.
I think it's a brilliant idea. You see, right now, that piece, the forest, as it is called, what is it used for? It's not actually used for anything other than the fact that there are people who hide in there. There are occasional prayer people who go and defecate in it and whatnot. And sometimes I think it's very important from anybody who really wants to know the true state of the forest to actually go there. I think if you go to Forestry Commission and have permission, they'll let their guards take it and see for yourself. And then see what has been happening, which nobody talks about. How they're trying to replant and put proper trees there, which has the investment of nearly 2 million cedis was put in there, so that that part of the forest is created into a proper forest, park-like, which will be for the benefit of the whole crowd, and for that matter, anybody visiting Ghana. Now, you then have a periphery area, which, bear in mind, if you read the EI, the essence of it is that nobody's going to be allowed to build a concrete jungle there. Of course not. It's going to be ecologically friendly. It beautifies the city. It doesn't detract from the city. However, that is another matter. From my point of view, what my concern is the family issues and their position on the matter. But if you ask me my personal opinion, the idea of an eco park is a brilliant idea.
So these are some of the videos we've captured for you in order to set the tone for this morning's conversation. As I also did indicate that I was going to advertise the WhatsApp line so that those of you who want to send us a comment or two about the subject under discussion, you can do so. It's 05000256621, 05000256621. So tell a friend to tell a friend. This is where the real conversation is taking place. Now, I will be introducing my guests shortly. In fact, two of them are already seated. They were expecting two other resource persons to join us. Now, we have a very balanced panel this morning, and we do that all the time on the show. I mean, just to make sure that everybody is adequately represented. So, my guest this morning, I have the Honorable Charles Cromwell Nanabenyi, and that's the reason why I was just checking this out, because I like his name. It's not just a personality; it was a fantastic name. Charles Cromwell Nanabenyi Onuya Wonto BCU. He's the MPP General Secretary Hopeful. Fantastic gentleman. MPP General Secretary Hopeful. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages. It's always a pleasure being here. One of the things I like about, I call him Senior Charles, is that once you phone him and say, Senior Charles, we need you here to So no problem, Moro. Anything for you. Anyway, he's actually contesting the MPP General Secretary position, and so I think he's the man to watch. And then you have Hassan Sweeney will also be joining. He's a member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency, and also deputy ranking member for the Lands and Forestry Committee of Parliament. He will also be joining us shortly. And then Mr. Michael Ni Abe. He is the programs coordinator for the Friedrich Egbecht Foundation or Stiftung, whichever one you want to call it. And Mr. Michael Ni Abe, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Moro. Good
You
to
have
see
no
you.
idea the amount of pressure I have come under. Where's Michael? Where's Michael? Where's Michael? I said, well, Michael will be joining us. He's a very busy man.
It's good to be back on the show.
It's good to be back, and it's good to see you. With the kind of position you have as programs coordinator, it's understandable. You would all be wanted to be all over the place. So our role is quite cut out here. I think the discussion we intend to have is a very straightforward conversation about the fate of the future of the Achimota forest. Now, as I did indicate this week, social media was buzzing. I mean, all kinds of reactions from everywhere. And the whole issue was that Achimota forest was being sold. And the minister had to quickly come out to do a press conference. It says Achimota forest is not being sold, and that there are Lordial, or the original owners of the land. They're called the Wu family. Now, the Wu family has been pursuing this matter since 2007 through successive governments until 2013, when 3 leases were given to them. Now, why were they given a lease? I mean, if the land is theirs and government compulsorily acquires it, uses it for its whether intended or unintended purposes, and the family says, give us back our land, why did we give them, a lease instead of a freehold? These are all some of the questions we're going to be asking. We'll find out what happened in 2013 when Hassan Sweeney joined us. So maybe I'll start with Mr. Charles Bisu, because he is here representing the government. He is a spokesperson for the government. So, Mr. Charles Bisu, it's good to see you once again.
Yeah, good to see
now,
you too.
Where were you when the story broke? And what was your immediate reaction? What did you do? Did you pick a phone to call a few friends in government? Because I'm told, even among some of you, you actually believed it, that something untoward was happening. I don't know whether you're one of those who thought something funny was happening and you needed to clarify that.
All right. Good morning.
Yes.
I think I wasn't surprised. Because
But how did it hit you when you heard it?
I my kind of politics.
Right.
I hate to point fingers at people.
Right.
The moment you do that, then it makes you a weaker person.
Right.
I grew up in Britain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people who we go into looking for employment and stuff like that, and then the person is turned down, and the person doesn't even have the required qualification, and then they go out to say, oh, because I'm a black person, that's why they're doing this to me. I end up telling my friends that no, the moment you come out to say that because I am a black person, then you've actually accepted that you're an inferior being. You see, so I hate to point fingers to the NDC that they are the ones doing, but it's trite knowledge, you see. That's why I wasn't really surprised when it came about, because we are in the second term of a 2-term government. And each time our political dispensation has been such that when we know the 8-year thing, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then so in the second term, anything that comes out from the certain government, that there's a certain twist around it. So when it came out, it triggered me to actually do further delve in and do research.
Mm-hmm.
And then
You didn't place a call to anybody?
No.
Not even Abu Jinapo?
No.
Forestry Commission?
No, I
Deputy
knew.
Minister?
No, because I know that we have structures.
Okay.
And I believe that when this came out, then you look at the appropriate quarters,
right,
which is the Lands and Forestry Ministry and all that. So they are going to come out with a statement.
Okay.
I mean, that's how it has to be done.
Yep.
And I believe they are competent people there. So
okay.
I wasn't really surprised because I know the people that we work with. Now, when it came out, I thought, okay, that's the NDC again.
Okay.
Because before I move into what the question you asked me, see, I somewhat think that my party we should up our communication bit.
Okay.
Because following the experience of the e-levy, we couldn't actually come out, educating people to understand the benefits and then how the judicious use of resources, like promising Ghanaians.
Okay.
And so we gave the NDC the opportunity to make a caricature of it. Now, and so I wish that following that, we went out and to do town hall meetings.
But to be fair, I mean, it wasn't just the MPP, sorry, it wasn't just the NDC or some NDC chaps on social media who were actually stating that the Achimota Forest had been sold. I mean, the persons like Kofi Bentil, Bright Simmons and co, who had said, look, it's gone. I mean, Manasseh Azuri and all of that. I mean, so I don't think it would be totally accurate to pin this down on the NDC and say, well, the NDC guys are the guys who are...
No, Moro, it depends on where you're coming from.
Okay.
If I put my political lenses on, I was trying to be objective. Okay. If I put my political lenses on, then I know that these people are like social, the civil rights...
Social actors.
Okay. Right. So in the second term of a two-term government, they try to sway floating voters.
Towards a certain direction.
Exactly. In that vein, then the incumbent government has to delve deeper. And then you have to come in with a mechanism of actually ensuring that the floating voters listen to you. Because since 1992, that has been the trend.
Right.
And so they know that there are people sitting in the middle who they can sway. Because when we go into elections, we, MPP, NDC, we have our base.
Right.
And so in the last term of the two-term government, we sway people to our side and then win.
Right.
So I'm saying that my party, we should be up and doing.
Okay. With your communication?
Yes, two. Because if E-Levy, if they made a caricature of it, and then later on we went to do a town hall meeting, and it worked, people understood it later on, then I will bring the town hall meeting preceding this Achimota Forest thing, because I know that it's not going to be sold. So from here, I think the learning curve is that any policy or anything that comes out from outside the MPP and the government, I think we need to educate people before it comes out.
Right.
So that it does not give the NDC the avenue to even actually fill that in and then actually sway people. Then we have to come back and then what?
Do you think it would have really made any difference if the government had been proactive with the way it went about communicating this whole Achimota Forest
it would have been
declassification
or it would have been
declassification matter? You think it would have made a difference?
Yeah, because in 1921, 1927, if I'm communicating and actually coming out to, educate people on it before the EI comes out, I would do, one, tell people
see, Charles, the reason why I'm asking you this question is because despite the explanation which has been given by the minister, his deputy, Forestry Commission, there are still people who are suspicious.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And the conspiracy theory is quite inviting. I mean, the conspiracy theory is quite interesting. And the conspiracy theory is simple. And I've heard the deputy ranking member on forestry, on lands and forestry, Alassane, when he'll be joining us in a few minutes. He says, this whole talk about the old family is just a ruse. And that's there are persons behind the old family who are only using the old family to achieve a certain end. People, in fact, the Herald News, I don't know if you've read the Herald newspaper.
No, I haven't. No.
The Herald News was actually reported that, look, all this talk about old family, it's the lands are gone. Some person, I mean, I'm not saying that it is true, but I'm saying the Herald newspaper actually reports that the lands are already gone. I mean, this peripheral aspect of the forest is gone. There's some high-ranking persons in the government have actually taken over.
I've grasped it.
You've heard that.
I've grasped it. So if Kotoko has a playing a football match, and maybe whoever is going to win the league, they're at par, and Olympics want to be the third, so that there's, let's say, Champions League. But if Hearts of Oak loses, it will benefit Accra Great Olympics.
Yeah.
Definitely, the supporters of Olympics would go and then sit behind Accra, Hearts of Oak. That's it. Even though they are arch rivals. Now, the same vein, if the old family are doing something and whatever it is, MPP would definitely know, speak to them and then bring them to the side for them to understand what is happening. Whereas the NDC will go on the opposition.
Right.
So that, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
But my point is that applying what Alhaji Suhine is saying, that people went behind the old family, I'm applying it to the e-levy. The e-levy, where was the NDC sitting? They were sitting behind people not to accept it.
Okay.
They were in the markets telling people that it's not going to work. And I've seen the trend of the NDC in this country that anything in an election year, anything that would inure to the benefit of the Ghanaian populace, they actually make a caricature of it.
Okay.
When we found oil in commercial quantities, they knew that maybe the MPP would win the election with it, so they said it was cooking oil.
Okay.
And then they came up with the 110 premium, NHIS, and it didn't work. So that's the position they've taken. So from now to the time that we win an elections, anything that is good for the Ghanaian public, they'll poo-poo it.
Okay.
So my party...
So you think this is mere propaganda?
No. If you maybe you are not understanding. So I'm saying that from now to that time,
yes,
anything that comes out from the government, which is going to be good, then would sway floating voters. They will shoot at it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, looking at this dispensation, there's a history. So I'm saying that if in future, I think my party, what we need to do is educate people about it. That it started from 1921, 1927, 4,000 pounds compensation was paid. It's got into the 100 years, and as we speak, there's 3,360 hectares available, but there's been encroachment and all that. So we actually redefine in the midst of that, we've also doing the tree planting. So we're conserving our forest. So you come out with that communication, so that people understand. Yes, maybe some people might read meanings into it, but then you have communicated. Then it gets to the point that the leaders are assertive. That's yes, we have what? It's not all the time that you go in and then people sway you, but as leaders, we have to be assertive in that vein. So I'm saying that, yes, e-levy, there was no education on that, and then later on, subsequent to that, we did it. And then I wish that we should have applied it, but it hasn't changed anything because the minister has come out with a statement saying that this is what it is, and it started from 2007, so it was a successive government. 2007, they came actually asking for certain things, and then it wasn't done, and then under the Mills Mahama administration, so since the contract was given birth to, there has been some processes, and it has arrived today. So if we had educated them in that vein, then things wouldn't have been like this. So I'm applying that to, in future, things that we do. But then it doesn't change the material, evidence within it that anybody has been culpable. But then within every political party, there might be miscreants, there might be people thinking that, there's a certain number of 118, 190 acres and all that. So maybe if I acquire some of that, if the person goes in, to the old family or whatever, and then buys it legitimately and develops it, I do not have a problem with it. But when you actually do things that goes against the law, that is where I have a problem with it. So people put it out there to say that, maybe some politicians are pushing them and all that. Yes, on the other side, too, the NDC would also go and push against it. And within that, we are all actually fighting, but in the end, the truth is what must come out. And I believe that the minister has come out with a statement supporting what he said. And I believe Mike Hammer, the former minister, also came and then also said something asserting that. So I am just saying that in future, what I think we should be doing is that educate people, because from now to 2024, the NDC will not stop. It will stop at nothing.
Well, I don't know, but I raised the issue about whether you have reduced everything that has happened in the course of this week to a certain deliberate attempt by the NDC to propagate information which is not true or entirely true in order to make the MPP unpopular, or you think that it is more to do with the MPP having to up its game in this area of communication. So that's what I need to, that's the clarity I need to get from you. So I'll come back to you on that. But let me just introduce the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency, who is loved by his constituents. I don't know what he does there. He's not been updating on what he does in that constituency. But his constituents love him. I mean, it's unbelievable. And he's also been a very good friend way back. He's always said he's a journalist. He's not stopped doing journalism. So he's here. Last time, Sweeney, good morning. It's good to see you, my brother.
Very much. Always a pleasure to be here. Good morning. And my sincere apologies for arriving late. It's unlike me to
very
arrive
unlike
at shows such as this. But it looks like the last time too I was late because I got the time.
But that's understandable. We got the time
wrong. Today is the the Interior Minister's birthday, and so when we woke up in the frenzy, I forgot myself and lost track of time. I sincerely apologize for that, and I wish her a very happy birthday. I mean, my wife.
Okay.
Hamdi Amadou Yakub. A very, very happy birthday.
We want to, on behalf of all of us here, wish her a happy birthday, Hamdi. I hope that. But when is she going to invite us for the Tozafi lunch? It's sexy.
That one we can discuss.
That's a behind the scenes matter.
Yeah, so let me say good morning to my colleagues, in the studio. A pleasure to meet you. But I was listening to bits and pieces.
No, but even before you respond to him, let me just say this. I didn't know lawyer Godwin Eduzi Tamakulu is your very good friend.
Yes.
He says I should say hi.
It's the Begbeto connection.
It's not a Begbeto connection.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Network connection.
My
mom is from Volta region.
Oh, your mom is from the Volta region. I didn't know.
Yeah, he's even promised that he's going to vote for me, and then when we win.
Godwin Eduzi Tamakulu is a delegate now.
No, he said the proxy voting.
Oh, the proxy voting.
Somebody to get him to vote for me. The foreign, the foreign
the one
voters.
That happens
not all of
see.
them will be here, so they can use the proxy.
Right.
So he's going to do that, and then when I become the general secretary, he's going to help me.
You know what Godwin does all the
break
time?
the 8.
When you say these things, you just say fake news.
No, it's not. We've had a discussion. As for Bebeto, I will connect to.
Right.
He just came from the north.
Right.
And he said it's the Interior Minister's birthday. And all that. So sometimes politics aside.
Right. That's
IBG would want the Voltarian to be the general secretary of party of MPP and succeed.
It's an added advantage.
We've had a discussion.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. Anyway, but Alaso Sweeney, this is not new. It's come up. I mean, it's been in the news since 2007. Subsequent governments. Now, whilst you're thinking, whilst you're planning on responding to him, it's a question I also need you to respond to. That, but the new patriotic party government is only continuing with what you left off. You left for them as far back as in 2013. I would be very much interested in, after you've responded to the honorable Charles Bisu, to tell us what exactly happened in 2013. What's the difference between what happened in 2013 and what is happening today? It's extremely important to us. Yes, please go ahead.
I'll try and make it clear.
Okay.
But you see, I see that there's a problem with our conversations and discussions in this country.
Okay.
We are not able to differentiate between similar things. I mean, when things are similar, our conclusion is that they are the same.
Right.
And so we do not do the deep thinking of differentiating, between things that are similar. So the stories and the conversations may be similar, but they are not the same.
They're not the same.
It's important that people open their minds to notice the dissimilarities between the two, approaches, or if you like, 3 approaches. Now, first of all, when government acquire land from landowners, for whatever purpose, government pays compensation. In the case of the forest reserves that we have in this country, about 282 of them, interestingly, Achimota Forest is the only forest that any government has ever paid compensation for.
I see.
All the 281 plus forest reserves, no government has ever paid compensation for any of the land on which those reserves stand.
No, because the allotted owners or the original owners perhaps have not come forward to say we need compensation for the
government
land.
Can't pay. Let's be real. For all the reserves.
But have people come out to say they want compensation?
Definitely, the people want it, but we all understand the national interest at stake.
Right.
And the purpose that forest reserves serve. So government announced these acquisitions, but hardly, complete the acquisition by paying compensation. But the colonial, masters, when they took over the Achimota forest, paid £4,000
at the time
for the school and others.
That's in 1921.
Yes, 1921. Now, what they didn't pay for is what was annexed later on.
Which is 1927.
Which is the 1927 one.
But is it that, that's the thing. Is it that they didn't pay, or we don't have records of them paying?
So because we don't have records, it is assumed they didn't pay. But
okay.
They paid for the first one.
Okay.
So I'm saying that on record, Achimota Forest is the only one that has at least part of its land being paid for by any government in history.
Okay.
So first of all, for some of us, it was even totally wrong for President Kufuor administration to have returned the lands to the family owners.
Because he was setting a bad precedent?
He was setting a bad precedent and sending a wrong signal to other landowners across the country who have had their lands being used for forest reserves.
That's a very interesting point.
It's very important that we take
it's
note
not
of it.
crossed my mind,
Because if you have not paid for compensation for all the reserves that you have, and you begin returning to some, what guarantee do you have that others will not start agitating that some portions of the forest at Morley or Ankasa or others should be returned to us for whatever development purpose?
Right. And again, what makes the old family so special?
Exactly. Especially when they even got part of it paid to them by the
Right.
colonial government.
Luckily.
Do you understand? So for me, in the first place, it was wrong that President Kufuor indulged the Owo family to the point that part of the land had to be returned to them. But that's a lot of water under the bridge. It happened.
Right.
Then the administration of the NDC took over.
Fast forward.
Yes, fast forward. Professor Mills was president and declared that all government lands that were, should be returned to government. And so
Compulsorily
the Owo
acquired.
compulsorily acquired.
Return it to the
Yes,
allodial owners.
So the Owo family could not go ahead with the President Kufuor's, what do you call it? If you like, donation.
Donation or gift to them.
Or gift to them. Now,
The reason being?
because the government of the day had decided to repossess all lands.
Oh, in
you remember
2011.
the land grab, the land loot,
Yeah,
and the issuance
Right,
of a fiat
right,
on all lands
right,
that were
right,
given. Yes,
right.
so they could not proceed with it, so they shelved it. Then fast forward, 2012, the NDC puts it in its manifesto that we will develop the Achimota forest into an eco park. Because all over the world, one of the best ways, there are other ways, but one of the best ways of maintaining forests, especially that are located in cities, is to, turn them into eco parks.
Okay.
There are other, options. Some even say, keep it. But when you keep it in the state that it is, and people are encroaching upon it, the way to do it is to commercialize it in a way to maximize its utilization, but still keep the ecological benefits that you get from it.
Okay.
And you get that through an eco park.
Right.
All over the world.
Right.
That is,
So you're able to kill two birds with one stone.
exactly. You prevent people from encroaching upon it, you make income out of it, and you protect the remaining forest.
And you also create employment.
And create employment. And then you also, continue to gain the ecological benefits of the forest. So this was the NDC's plan in 2012, put in the manifesto.
Okay.
So 2013, when the discussions around the eco park started, the whole family rose again with their petition. So on humanitarian grounds, the government of the day, that was 2013-2014, decided that, look, President Kufuor had granted it to them. Even if it was wrong, it had been granted already. And part of the forest had been encroached upon anyway. And so, on humanitarian grounds, let's give it to them. But then what the government did, which for me was very critical, was that the portion that was allocated to the family, the Owo family, that was the Noga Hill area adjoining the motorway.
Yes.
That was the core part of the forest. And also very central to the Eco Park development plan.
Okay.
And so the government had to renegotiate with the Owo family to say, okay, it had been granted to you. It will be unfair for us to take it away from you, even if we disagree with the decision. So we will grant you what you were given, but not at the same place.
Okay.
Because that place you were given is too core to, to the development of the forest and all that. So the location was changed to the Abofu area.
Okay.
The periphery. And I'm stressing periphery. Because you see, what is happening now, and when I started, I talked about similarities and the difference in things that are similar.
And similarities.
Yes, the things that are different and similar. So they were given the periphery where encroachment had already been, had gone on and all that. And they went ahead to, register it in the Ibistic ADB deal. They registered it, the subleases and everything, they registered it. So that claim that they could not register the land and could not develop it is not true. They registered it, and they could have developed it.
But I heard the minister say that yes, even though it may have been registered, they are struggling to put it to use.
Exactly.
Because it hasn't been degazetted.
They are struggling because the use they want to put it to is not ecologically friendly. And that is why the government has gone ahead to degazette it, to make it possible for them to carry out any kind of development they want to carry out. Because under the ownership, where it was not degazetted, every development there had to be subject to the approval of the Forestry Commission.
No, but the new EI, in fact, 154, that's the same thing. It says,
no,
before you do anything, come to me. I have to approve.
As a minister.
The
minister has turned himself into a land guard. That is not what our laws, as those haven't served us in the long run. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Abu Jinapor may be, somebody who believes that he's above board. He may think that he's an angel and he will not be corrupted. And so when they bring the request, he will approve it in the interest of the forest. I heard him on another network. He could not speak to future ministers and how they will behave.
Which is very important.
Yes, which is very important when you are making a law. Because the president can reshuffle him tomorrow. If he is touting his angelic behavior, that is if he has any, and, assuring us that he will not be corrupt. What about future ministers? When they bring a request to build shopping malls or a factory there, and the future minister has an interest in the development of a factory or a shopping mall there, what guarantee do we have that that future minister will not approve it?
But that question was asked, and what he said was, yes, it's a legitimate question, but then he says, what are civil society organizations doing? What are media people? What would the opposition at the time be doing? So he's saying that, yes, legitimate as it is, a question. Once there are watchdogs that would make sure that this does not happen, based on the new EI 154 that's been created, there's no cause for alarm. That's what he said.
The Americans say, if it ain't broken, you don't fix it. What has served us over the years is that no developments that are, non-ecologically friendly have ever taken place in our forest reserves. So maintain it as a forest reserve. And save us all the trouble of expecting opposition or civil society organizations to rise up in defense of it. So maintain it as a forest.
So you see, EI 154 is neither here nor there.
That is the biggest problem of the whole discussion.
It's just English.
EI 144 is the biggest threat to the forest that remains.
Yes, the cessation of the forest reserve as a forest reserve.
It's the biggest threat in this whole discussion. They could have even returned it to the family as the previous government did without degazetting it, without reclassifying it.
But it says the family have subleased these parcels of land to third parties. But the guys can't put it to use. Or it's not true.
What I'm saying, listen to me.
Okay.
They can't put it to use. And for me, that is where the catch is. They can't put it to use because the use they want to put it to, perhaps, will be harmful to the forest. Because why? Gimpa is in the Achimota forest. Do you know that?
Yes, that's true.
Did we need an EI?
Not at all.
No. Noga Hill Hotel. Yes, in Achimota forest.
Right.
You don't need an EI to put such developments there when you know that they will not affect the environment. But when you want to put up shopping malls, for example, when you want to put up perhaps a factory, a production plant, you will need an EI that will let you put it to any kind of use. And that's what I'm saying is the biggest problem with this whole discussion.
I understand, but Alassane, can somebody, for instance, take this matter to court when a development like that occurs? And I'm not talking about saying putting a structure up, but I'm saying that if something like this occurs where we can see clearly that somebody is doing something which is at variance or contrary to EI 154. Can somebody take the matter to court?
No. You see, you are talking about. We know the laws that govern forest reserves and developments that take place there.
Yes.
You can't put something on nothing.
Yes.
So when there is a development there right now, you can take it to court to say that it's not supposed to be there because it is a forest reserve.
Absolutely.
But when you degazette it and say it's no longer a forest reserve, what do you have?
So you're saying that it doesn't make sense to say I'm degazetting, and yet you can't do anything with the land unless you come to me.
Yes, it doesn't make sense. It is neither here nor there, because you see, Muru, in Accra here, how many people have developed with even a building permit? What does the law say?
Yeah, you have to get a building permit before you go
Do
ahead.
people get it?
No, they don't.
Don't they go ahead to carry out developments?
They do. Lots of people.
Is it not under the Lands Commission, the same Land Commission that the minister is going to
Absolutely,
depend
you're
on?
right.
So we have history and experience to show that such directives or such, expectations
will only remain on paper.
Will remain on paper. People will go ahead. Once it is no longer a forest reserve, they will carry out developments there and then post-rationalize it. So what we are saying is that the biggest problem is the EI 144.
Okay.
Now, I talked about periphery. I said the previous government gave the periphery to the family.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about 90 to 114 acres of land.
Yes. It was 90, but you came to add 20.
Yes, because they were relocating them. I told you
yes,
that
yeah, you
they
mentioned
had
that.
to relocate them from
Yes.
the original place that they were given.
Yes.
So the family complained that if you are going to relocate us, then compensate us a little. Now, the 114, let's talk about the 114 as against the size of the forest.
It's 114 hectares.
No, acres.
Acres.
Acres. Let's not confuse it.
Okay, so it's acres.
Acres.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the size of the Achimota forest is about 889 acres.
Acres, right.
889 acres.
Right.
So you can say 114 is periphery.
Right.
Are you getting the calculation?
I get it.
100% of 889 is, 114 is almost insignificant,
Right.
less than 10%.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But compare that to the 361 acres that is given. That is not periphery. That is about half.
That's
of
about
the
40,
forest.
about 45%.
You're talking about 45% of the forest. That is not periphery.
That's significant.
That is not periphery.
No, but Hassan.
That is about half of the forest.
But do we know the constitution of that 45%? It's possible. It's possible that the GIMPA, the Forestry Commission, and all
GIMPA
it's not part of the 45%.
GIMPA and others have already been given. They have owners.
So it's not
you
part of
can't
the
give it-
45%.
Exactly, it's not.
Because I heard the minister say that,
It's
look, let's
not.
be careful with the calculations
No,
because
no.
we may end up, because he said there may be
You cannot
other...
give a land that is already owned by an institution to a family. What will they do with it?
Okay.
What will they do with it? So Forestry
that makes
Commission
sense.
has a place they already occupy. GIMPA has a place it occupies. Are you going to give GIMPA to the family?
Yeah, that's true.
That can't happen.
I get it.
So we
I
are
get it.
saying
I
that,
get it.
in fact, so even in the calculation, I agree with him, we have to be careful. Because even the 889 acres,
Yes.
GIMPA and Forestry Commission is part of that.
Yes.
So, in fact, maybe the remaining land, that is the forest, may even be less than 889.
True.
So when you are giving them 360,
that's close to 50%.
Like 50%.
Let's hold on with this. 50%.
50%.
No, Alassane is bringing up some very, very interesting perspectives that we've not thought about
and
this.
then they say that it is not for sale. Will
Okay.
the family keep it as a forest
That's
reserve?
fine. Let's
sell it.
take a short break. Please keep your thoughts. I don't want you to digress.
Thank you.
Please keep this thought about the
About 50%.
percentage, about 50%. Yes. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, Madam Gloria Oforibo will also join us. So stand by. All right, so this is Inside Pages. It's getting hotter and hotter here. It's getting very, very exciting and very interesting. In case you just joined us, this is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Moro Awudu, and we're having a conversation about the big talk for this week, which has to do with a reported sale of Achimota Forest Reserve. The minister came out to say it's not true, but there have been reactions and counter-reactions since. And the counter-reactions is what we're having here. So I have in the studio Mr. Charles Bisu. He's an NPP General Secretary hopeful. He's a very good friend. We wish him well. I think he will be one of the best things that will happen to the NPP. I've not shied away from that. And also, Alhassan Suini is a member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency. He's also the deputy ranking member on Lands and Forests. So you see, he's speaking purely from an angle of knowledge because that's his area, that's his forte. He's also here with us. And also, Madam Gloria Oforibo is the managing legal practitioner, GOB Law Consult. She's also here with us. Madam, it's good to always have you join us. You do one thing for us. You do the gender balance for us quite beautifully.
Thank you.
We're grateful for that. And also, Michael Niabe is also with us here. He is a programs coordinator with the Frederick Ekbecht Stiftung or Foundation. Michael, it'll get your turn. I know you've been writing a lot of things. You've been writing copiously. So when I come to you, I'm sure you have a lot to say. But
if you could let me.
I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. So, last time you were talking about the how much land we're talking about here, which is going to go to the Owu family. And that's where
So that's where I
okay,
was.
please go
And I
ahead.
was saying that the minister and the government should stop calling it periphery, because it's not periphery.
Explain.
If you take the size of the Achimota forest as it currently stands, 889 acres.
Yes.
And you take 361 out of it, and the 889 includes Gimpa, Noga Hill, and the Forestry Commission offices.
Okay.
So if you are taking 361 acres out of 889, that has already been occupied by other institutions.
Okay.
You are talking about taking about 50% of the forest. Or more.
Because the denominator will shrink.
Exactly.
The denominator will shrink. It
Exactly.
will reduce.
So that is
and
not
that increases the
and the
numerator.
question and the question within that also is why? Because the family raised a petition to President Kufuor, which was settled, but could not be executed. The NDC government under President Mahama, was faced with that issue of the land being given to them but could not be executed. And with another petition, through another petition, which was settled with 114 acres. The family agreed to take 114 acres for their land. As compensation.
But that was a lease.
That was a lease. And
why did you give them a lease? You compulsorily acquired, and I was saying you as in Ghana, state, Ghana, you compulsorily acquired somebody's land. You paid, in 1921, you paid some compensations for it. In 1927, there's no record of payment. So you say, let's assume it hasn't been paid. It's a fair point. If you're giving the person, if the person says they want the land, why do you give them on a lease? In any case, the land wasn't yours in the first place. You were only holding it in trust for them. Now, if you have agreed to give the land back to them, why do you give them a lease? Why not a freehold, for instance?
So because it was a forest reserve for a good reason.
Okay.
It still needed to be preserved, and whatever development that was going to take place there needed to be ecologically friendly.
Yes, right.
And so it had to be regulated under our forestry laws.
Hence the decision to give them
So the
freehold.
decision to give them, the sublease and the lease. And I'm saying that the family agreed to the 114,118 acres.
They had no qualms whatsoever.
They had no qualms. So at what point, and with what justification, has this current government increased it to 361?
Abu Jinapor tells us that even though they had agreed, there were further discussions that took place, negotiations and things.
No.
And the technical team, which includes the Forestry Commission, with all the other stakeholders came together to say that with time and the encroachments that have happened, the family actually needs more land.
That is the most ludicrous explanation I have heard, given for the reason
to increase the parcel of land.
The acreage. Muru, 10 acres of land in Achimota, the amount of money you would have required to pay for 10 acres of land 10 years ago, it's not the same amount of money you will need to pay for 10 acres today.
It's increasing
So the value of land is not only increased or determined in size, it is determined more in quality.
I agree with you.
The quality of land in Achimota has increased over the 10 years.
The point is, 1,000 acre in
So-
1921
so-
is as good as a 1 acre in 2022.
Exactly.
I get
So
it.
114 acres 10 years ago in Achimota is as good as 361 acres today.
I agree with you.
Do you understand?
I agree with you.
So in monetary terms, so even if you wanted to compensate them with land, the 114 would have still sufficed.
Would have sufficed.
So Moro, is he
Quite
talking
apart from
about
that.
create, loot, and share?
That's where I'm leading.
That's what
to.
he's trying to do.
Yes.
Well,
I believe that.
and
I
that-
believe
by the time
that-
you land, that's what's-
I
that's
believe
the-
that.
that's what he's
Thank
doing.
you for providing it. Thank
Create,
you for
loot, and share.
providing
You
it.
see, it's
Thank
happened-
you.
if you've done it
Charles,
before.
Charles,
Okay, you let him
Charles,
now. Let
Thank
him
you
now
for
so that you can come
providing
in.
it.
Right.
Because clearly.
No, he says what you're heading is not comfortable.
Yeah, because he can see, he knows what I'm talking about. He appreciates that the value of land is not determined only in quantity,
No.
but also
I am very-
in
quality.
In quality of the land. And over the years, the Achimota forest land has grown in quality.
I agree.
And so definitely you cannot make the argument that because of time value, you had to add them more land. It's ludicrous. I'm saying that it just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
The only possible scenario is that some people have an interest in this extra land that has been given to the family and may go and take it behind the scenes. But Moro, interestingly, let me land with this. As a member
That's
of the
that's
Forestry
the fourth
Commission.
London now.
As a member of the Forestry Commission.
I'll come to you, don't worry.
Just yesterday, I was going through the budget statement.
Okay.
Moro, it will shock you that
Sounds like this is new.
in about 5 years, we have spent not less than $100 million US.
And compensation?
No, in afforestation.
$100 million US on afforestation.
On afforestation.
For the past 5 years. You
For
mean
the
since
past
the government
5 years.
since the government came to power?
Since the government came to power. You are talking about $55.33 million US from the World Bank, AFB, and others in support of greening Ghana.
Right.
And you are talking about 56,466,667 from the budget, government of Ghana allocations alone. Moro. So government of Ghana allocations, budgetary allocations, totals 423,500,000 Ghana cedis in the last 5 years. Tell me if this 23 million that we have spent, we have been able to produce the like of the 361 acres they are giving away.
It's interesting.
Have we? And so if for anything at all, couldn't we have used part of this 423 million Ghana cedis to pay the family off so we can have the greenery? If we pretend that we want to raise trees
but
so that we can gain from the benefits of trees.
No, but the minister says the forest reserve is not going to be affected.
About 50% of that is given and is not going to be affected. What logic is that? Will the 50% be maintained by the family as a forest?
In fact,
they will sell it
the forest
to
reserve
private developers.
The forest reserve has enjoyed, as the minister said, some afforestation project.
So
I'm saying
that we have spent close to 423 million Ghana cedis on afforestation over the last 5 years.
So why would the government...
Can we point to the like of 361 acres? Because 361 acres of forest is what we are dashing away. With the 423 million we have spent over the years, tell me where we have the like of 361 acres that you can compare to the one we have in Achimota. Wow. Where?
Moro.
So wouldn't it have made sense, even if we wanted to compensate the family in monetary terms?
I'll bring you in.
Would it have made sense
I think
to
we should.
compensate them in monetary
I think we
terms?
should bring in our other resource persons. Right. Because Alhassan Sunni has made some very, very interesting revelations.
No, he hasn't.
Very interesting.
No, he hasn't.
Very interesting insights
Moro.
here.
Moro,
so what I'll do is, please note your points, because there are other two resource persons who haven't said nothing at all.
Moro, somebody's sitting in a taxi now, or trotro,
right,
listening to what he's saying.
Right.
If the person gets out of the trotro, he wouldn't actually...
But they listened to you before I came.
No, but what you said.
They listened to you too before
if that
I came.
person gets out and then moves into another taxi, it could be another radio station.
But also to be fair to them, if you can do it in just 30 seconds, because I want to come to my...
I just want him to explain how
Okay.
much the amount that he mentioned,
yes,
how it has been used. Because you know what they do is that they just mention a humongous amount.
Oh no, okay. So
and I said it's been spent.
Legitimate question.
So he doesn't itemize them.
Even though I don't know whether he's the right person to tell us how the money's been used, because he's not the one who will be giving the money to.
So he shouldn't mention it.
No. He has every right to tell us how. No, he has every right to tell us how much has been spent.
Let me give you the breakdown.
You have the breakdown.
Let me give you the breakdown. Appendix 6 of the 2018 budget statement, page 184. Allocated 30 million Ghana cedis to national afforestation.
Okay.
National afforestation.
Okay.
Appendix 6, page 215 of the 2019 budget.
Right.
Allocated 47,500,000 to national afforestation.
Okay.
Appendix 4A, page 218 of the 2020 budget. An allocation of 240 million Ghana cedis was done to national afforestation.
Okay.
2021 budget statement. Appendix 4A, page 216. 106 million Ghana cedis was allocated to national afforestation.
Thank you. So, Moro, he's mentioned it. He stated them.
Right.
So he's a ranking member or deputy ranking member for that committee in Parliament, okay? I would have wished that he comes out to say that all the items that he's mentioned, this was supposed to be done here and there, and it wasn't done. It wasn't done.
Okay.
You understand? But he's actually fell short, mentioned the figure, and then say he hasn't actually ascertained if it has been done or not. So you need to provide that information.
Charles, what I am saying is that it was to be used for national afforestation.
And it hasn't been done?
I'm not saying it hasn't been done. I'm saying, Charles, listen. Charles, my question is, if it has been done, show me if we have achieved the like of 361 acres.
So you are
at Achimota
you are in a
Forest.
fiduciary
because
position.
we don't
So
have
you
that.
provide that and said maybe 100 acres was supposed to be done, and they did 50. Then we're having a conversation. But if you mention an amount and say
Charles,
it's
you are not
reduced,
getting the argument I'm making.
I have gotten
My
it.
argument is not about embezzling this allocations.
Okay.
My argument is that this allocation is supposed to give us forests.
Okay.
We do not have a forest, yet we are dashing away an already existing forest. And I'm saying that we could have used that money to pay
So then we're
for
playing with words here. You see?
compensation
Okay.
and
We're playing with
maintain the
words here. He mentioned
361 acre
peripherals.
forest.
All right, so let me do this. I'm getting a lot of messages from the north. As soon as you tell them that you're coming here. But I'll read your messages shortly. But before I do, let me bring in Madam Gloria Forebuedu and also Michael Niabe. Now, Michael Niabe, I don't know if you want to take your shot now.
Yes,
You want to have a go at the issue now. So when you're done, Madam will come in and then I'll read messages and I'll come back to Charles and the Honourable Member of Parliament. Yes, please go ahead, Michael.
Right, so thank you very much, Moro.
First of all, what did you? Well, I don't know how your reaction also was when you heard the news. I mean, you were like, what was the first thing that hit you when you heard that Achimota Forest is being sold? Don't go me.
I was actually late to the news.
Okay.
But I started seeing EI 144 on Facebook.
Okay.
All
Circulating
these girls
around.
talking about it. And so that, caught my attention.
Okay.
And of course, I have to delve deeper and realize that this is the whole issue and this is what is happening.
Okay.
And that actually connects to what Charles said his earlier submission, trying to make it look as though it is NDC NPP affair. Indeed, on Facebook, for instance, I saw guys, middle class guys, talking about these issues, colleagues of mine having discussions around this, and not necessarily NDC or the party going public on this very issue.
Right.
And the other thing is, when we try to make this partisan conversation, we lose out on the nuanced and the very interesting perspectives that, for instance, Suhini just brought to the bear.
Right.
And it is quite worrying. In fact, when you scan the commentary on social media, one thing that one can deduce is the fact that the public trust has dwindled.
Right.
And Ghanaians do not trust their public office holders.
Right.
It's a major concern for us that have been in the civil society space. And again, the NPP has been one of the luckiest governments of the Fourth Republic, having received support from civil society organizations. Indeed, the goodwill they even enjoyed right from 2017. And so it becomes shocking when one would want to say that when you hear civil society actors talking about the issue, it means that they intend swaying the minds or the thoughts of ordinary voters. I think.
So you disagree with Charles on that?
Yeah, I disagree with Charles on that. I think civil society actors follow the news. They've been having conversations, and these are guys that the NPP largely have been benefiting from. And so when they raise such concerns, it is very important that we take it with all seriousness. I work in the civil society space and with civil society for over a decade now. Yes, the fundamental question is whether or not we have to sell or give part of the forest reserves out. For me, that's the very fundamental question. And as someone who believes in environmental justice and matters of climate change, it becomes worrying when you hear things of this nature. But again, if you interrogate the statement from the sector minister, the minister says that what the EI 144 does is to make the peripheral portions of the forest reserve, which had already been granted, that underlined, already been granted to the Owu family in September 2013, portions of which have already been developed. So the minister is making this assertion that out of the lands that have been given to the Owu family already, right from 2013, portions are already being developed. So what it means is that with or without declassification, the lands are being developed. The question here would be whether the development is in conformity to the ecological integrity we've all been concerned about. And what does that elephant even mean when you say ecological integrity? What is the standard that one can use to say, okay, we are indeed concerned about the ecology and matters of, projects, developments that go on in the reserve should conform to such integrity. I mean, it's a nebulous concept.
Just a quick one before. Sorry, just a quick one before you talk about this nebulous conception. Now, if the minister tells us that yes, these lands we're talking about are already in use.
Yes.
They are being developed.
Portions of which have already been developed.
Good. And your question is, if indeed the lands have been developed without it being degazetted, why can't that continue?
Precisely.
Okay, so the counter question will be that, are you suggesting that if something illegitimate or illegal is being done, we must continue because nobody is saying anything about it?
No, what makes
it
illegal?
Because the reason why, as the minister tells us,
yes,
that these lands are being degazetted is to make it easier for whoever takes charge of these lands to use it for the purposes for which they're taking them.
But it is the same minister telling you that whatever development that would happen on the ground or in the reserve that is being given, the part that is being given, they must still seek consent from the minister's office to ensure that it will not affect the ecological integrity of the remaining
You're saying the two positions are incongruous.
Precisely. And so it is, and you see, for instance, Charles talked about the communication around this whole issue. He thinks that government hasn't done well with the communication. You know, we have our Forest Reserve and Wildlife Policy, which was adopted in 2012.
Right.
And when you look at the policy objectives of that particular policy, the fourth item or so talks about citizen participation, how you involve the citizenry in the management, decision-making and management of forest reserves across the country. Now, the forest reserve does not only serve current generations. We must understand that. It serves future generations.
True.
Indeed, it's a matter of high public interest. And so when an issue of this nature comes up, I would rather expect a comprehensive report from government to the people why you think that you are taking this very decision.
Right.
Now, and when you look at the submission from the minister again, in 2007 was when the first petition was written to the Kufuor government.
Right.
That's a year to the election 2008.
Right.
And again, in 2011, the second petition was written to the Mills John Mahama government. That was also a year to election 2012.
Right.
So there's at least some trend here. And this thing, of course, would put the government of the day in a fix. You're going into an election, and there's a request being made. I think there must even be publicly shown to Ghanaians the basis for that request. Why the request? It shouldn't be because you compulsorily acquired our land, for which compensation was paid for the first land that was acquired. And so because you acquired it from us, we have some right of sort to request for some part of the land to be given to us, when we know the purpose for which the reserve is serving. So, and like Suhini said, you're opening up the floodgate, that is it. But I think the very important thing that ought to have been done is to let us know why the request, why the petition from the Owu family.
Who should be telling you this?
Government, of course. And that is
why but the current government says
a comprehensive report on this.
Yeah, but the current government says that we've gone past there, that point. The reasons why the family is coming for the land is something that's already been discussed. They say originally they own the land. You came for it, yes, we don't have a problem with that, but sort us out. You gave us something pecuniary in 1921. Now you say you will give us a lease. And Alasan said, look, the John Mahama administration at the time was found in a situation where, despite its reservations about how the whole process started, had to, on compassionate grounds, continue with it. So I'm saying that we've gone past why the land had to be given to them.
But you see,
you think it's a fundamental question we need to ask?
It's fundamental, because listen,
why do you think it's important?
We are going to receive a lot of, in fact, the minister even intimated that thousands of petitions on his desk, actually.
Okay.
And they've been thinking about how to compensate, particularly on the compensation issue.
Right.
How to compensate the families or the communities that may have lost their land to government through the acquisition.
Remember, I said that Achimota Forest is the only forest that have even had part of it being compensated.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
There's no
You
other
mentioned that.
281
Precisely.
gazetted forest
Right.
in Ghana. None has been compensated for. No landowner has received a penny from government for the usage of their land.
And you're
as
worried
forest
about the
reserves.
precedents that's been set.
Exactly.
That's fine.
So when you entertain this whole issue, clearly you are setting examples for others to follow.
Are you saying no? But Michael, are you saying that?
And the trend
Yes.
I've deduced from even the minister's statement.
Yes.
Where it's a year to election, a year to election,
Yes.
that they
You
come
see a
up with
certain
a
pattern.
Precisely. I mean, the other communities who think that, of course, their lands have been compulsorily acquired would also be writing a year, or even an election year, and they would use that as a basis.
But you see, but the question is, the question for me, Michael, is this: is it a legitimate request to make?
It is. It depends.
On what?
It depends on whether it is a legitimate request to make or not.
Yes.
Now, is the forest still serving its purpose as a forest reserve?
Yes, it is.
If it is still serving its purpose, the original purpose as a forest reserve, then what would be the basis to modify or to wanting to give part of it when it is still serving the purpose for which you acquired the land?
But the place has been encroached, as the minister tells us.
So if there is, and this is another problem, the place is being encroached.
Yes.
Whose responsibility is it to ensure that, first of all, there is no encroachment on the forest reserve?
The old family says, I gave you the land for a specific purpose. You're not using the land
So
for the purpose for which you have acquired it. So give me the thing back to me.
Government negligence.
Yes.
Government irresponsibility.
It's what you and I have to pay for.
Precisely, because, I mean, and we've seen this all over, where slums build up all of a sudden, and it's even happening around the interchange at the Accra motorway,
Yes.
just here.
Yes.
And this is how it happens. So it is government's responsibility to ensure that there is no encroachment, first of all.
So that cannot be a
that
reason.
can't even be a basis at all. It's marks of some lazy thinking. I'm sorry. And is it possible we look at this whole issue, put the EI 144 on hold, on freeze, and look at how we can actually address this issue? Because listen, the consequence of this is there, and we only have politicians who, when in election year, are unable to take, excuse me to say, rational decisions. Every decision taken in an election year is within the prism of what will be the political cost or benefit going into the election.
Absolutely.
And if the trend, as has been established from the minister's statement, that the petition always comes a year to election, imagine what is going to happen with all the other reserves, the original allodial owners of all the other reserves writing to the government of the day in an election year.
That's
that,
chaos.
listen, we want this. That's chaos.
That's chaos.
So it is good we look at how to address this issue now, put this EI thing. And when you look at the statement again, and this is also mischievous, it also amounts to public deceit in a way. The EI 144, what the EI 144 does is to make the peripheral portions of the forest reserve, which had already been granted. So which had already been granted. And we all know the amount that was granted to the Owu family. It is nowhere near 361. You get it? So what the statement is seeking to do, clearly, more like a cover-up or trying to economically manage the whole information
Which
around
aspect
this
of it
issue.
is misleading?
Of
Of course it's been granted. It was granted in 2013.
It wasn't 361.
Precisely.
Yeah, well,
But
that
the
was
minister's
100 and
statement,
114,
statement is saying that what EI 144 does is to make the peripheral portions of the forest reserve, which had already been granted.
361 was not granted.
Precisely. And this is misleading. And this, again, raises suspicion. You get it? And then you begin to think about the whole issue of how government has organized herself in these whole climate justice, environmental justice issues.
Well, but when it comes to that portion, I think I heard Abu again on another platform saying that when he talks about the granting of that portion, apparently EI 144 is not degazetting just the Achimota forest. It's a whole parcel of land that goes beyond the Achimota forest. So there are aspects of it. Maybe it's the way the thing has been worded. Because if what I heard him say is anything to go by, You know, anyway, let's do this because Madam Gloria Fore has been seated for a while now. Let me go to her now. Madam, I'll ask you the same question I asked my other panel members. That where were you then when you heard the story? How did you react? What were you thinking? Did you place any calls to anybody? Were you worried? Were you concerned?
Tomorrow
is here at all.
Tomorrow, I'm just wondering the background picture of the forest that you have.
Right.
Is it in Ghana or outside Ghana?
Oh, this is in Ghana.
Where?
This is Achimota Forest. We took the pictures here.
That's beautiful because it reminds me of the Muir Woods in California, where you have to pay $20 just to walk through the woods.
Really?
Yeah, $20 per person. So if there are 3 of you, it's $60. And you can imagine how much they earn a day just to walk through the forest. And after walking through the forest, which people are proud of, because when you go as a foreigner or a guest, the first place they will ask you is, have you been to the Muir Woods in San Francisco? And so they'll they'll take you through the Muir Woods, and you have trees which have been 400 years, 500 years, you know, in existence, and they are very proud of it, and they earn so much out of it. So I'm just happy to know that this is Achimota Forest. I don't know how much the Forestry Commission earns from it, but I believe that now that we live in environments where people do not even have a single plant, not to talk about a tree in their home, it would be nice to publicize and create some form of civil society and public awareness about the existence of the 281 forest reserves in Ghana. So that we can also, if you don't have a plant in your house, you can travel and walk through the forest and earn some, you know, pay something for the government to earn income. So I believe in protecting our environment and making good use of it, creating employment through it, creating income through it. I think that is more effective than just giving it away. What more, this Owu family, who are they? How many factions are there? I've heard of about 3. Are we going to give it to them so that they start fighting amongst themselves and showing hatred and all that? Because I have been an assemblywoman in Adenta before elected, and I remember the families were living they were quite united until people started buying lands in the Frafraha enclave, and then suddenly there was so much hatred and enmity amongst the family. You know, I remember one faction, somebody died from one faction, and so I think that faction was supposed to wear red. And then there was another faction that were supposed to wear black because they are the same people and they are buried in the same area. And I didn't know, and I wore red. So after going to greet the red faction and I moved to the black faction, the Queen Mother would not even look at me. It was later that I heard that apparently there were colors for each faction. So let's look at all these. I mean, we can give examples, so many examples. There's Amrahia Dairy Farm, which was given out to the family, and now half of it is being used for sun winning. There are the Adenta aviation lands, which were taken over by, I don't even know. Now we have a gold filling station. We have a filling station and some, what do you call it? Parks, I'll say parks, PARKS, parks for, what do you call it? Equipment. And I don't know what is going on, but all those areas were kind of forest areas, but they've all been destroyed. So let's look at giving public education to the importance of trees, and also looking at doing a research on what has happened to lands that were given back to families. Just a research. I've given you my experience, about the red and the black factions. Let's find out if the Owu family are indeed. There are 3 factions. Who are going to get it? We don't want to create more enmity and hatred amongst families. It's not worth it. So let's see how best we can approach the issue.
I see. But just a quick one.
Achimota Forest currently, we are told. I mean, 2016, I was just sharing with Madam of.
Yes.
2016, they used to record about 20,000 visitors to the Achimota Forest, 20,000 visitors annually, and generated close to $60,000 from those visits. Wow. I don't know if you have been to the Achimota Forest or Ankasa Forest in the, what do you call it, Western region.
Okay.
Beautiful places, even if that is far, where Baba Sadiq did his program recently.
The Shai area.
I mean, the forest there is beautiful. I mean, you climb to the top and you will appreciate nature. And you travel to other countries for programs, and then they include in their itinerary the final day visit to some of these reserves. And you go there and you realize that you even have better in Ghana.
Right.
But you are paying more there, and they are making a lot of income. That is what we should be seeking to do with some of these God-given, resources.
Let me do that.
we have, and not turn them
I have
into
one question for you, and I
concrete
need you
jungles.
I need you to think about it whilst I talk to Madam Gloria. What do you make of government decisions to go through the EI route instead of going through Parliament? I need you to come. I need you to think about this. But Madam Gloria, the law has been passed. What does Article 20 of the 1992 Constitution say about returning lands that have been compulsorily acquired by the state, giving them back to their lawyer owners? Does it come with conditions? Say, for instance, if these lands that have been acquired, like in the case of Achimota Forest, because of the strategic, purposes that it serves, that can be treated separately when it comes to Article 20. I need you to please give me some answers on that. What does Article 20 say? What conditions does it come with? I'd really need you to do that for me. Michael, there's something you wanted to say quickly before I come to Charles.
Yeah, so another inconsistency again with the minister's
statement.
Right. So he says that, as I pointed out earlier, that the land that was given or granted to the Owu family, they have, portions of which have already been developed. It's in his statement. Then in the same statement, when you come to page 2 of the statement, no, not page 2, right, when you come to page 3 of the statement, the first paragraph, he says, however, because the land remained a forest reserve by virtue of Order 3.1 of 1930, the lessees and the sub-lessees could not develop the land.
Okay.
But in one breath, you are saying that portions of the land
have been developed.
Already being developed. So when I look at this statement, it raises a lot of suspicion.
Right.
It appears there is something happening, and we need to have a screensaver, more or less, to, hide from the public what is happening behind the screen.
You think there's more to this?
No, there's clearly more to this. Clearly, in the same statement.
It's not as simple as some family who are claiming ownership of a parcel of land are being given back to them by the government. It's not as simplistic as that.
The statement is
telling us something.
Telling us a different story altogether. One breath you say this, another breath you change it, and that is why I would have wished that, listen, in any serious democracy, when you talk about forest reserves, it's a matter of extreme public interest because it serves.
Okay.
If you want to do anything with it, you must engage the public. You must have frank, open, comprehensive discussions around this. I don't know to what extent Parliament was involved in this whole decision. I can't tell. Even maybe Suhini may help us. But I think government hasn't been that transparent about this whole enterprise.
Charles is of the view.
Okay.
Charles is of the view that the government has brought this onto itself, not deliberately. No, maybe.
Okay.
Let me when I explain.
Question.
Yes, I'll come to you on that. Charles thinks that, look, if there were prior engagements with the public before this whole announcement was made, perhaps the suspicion that you have, where you're saying that there's more to this whole Achimota Forest saga than meets the eye, it probably wasn't a reason at all. Because to be fair to the government, when this whole matter started, people were stating categorically that the forest reserve had been sold. Now it's moved beyond whether it's been sold or not. That matter, it's not the subject for discussion anymore. It's now come down to, why are we allowing the family to take hold of a land they are saying is theirs? Why are we allowing that to happen now? And why are we giving them close to 45%, which has now come down to acreage? So
and that raises a suspicion.
Yeah. So no, he's saying that perhaps a government communications had been more proactive in the way they dealt with this.
No, but
this is not a reason.
He has said the same thing.
Yes.
So all I'm saying is that from e-levy, when the NDC made a caricature of it, out of which that since the birth of the contract from 1921, and then we go out, and then he's added, Michael has added some to it. So all I'm saying is that the education, because we are in our political dispensation is where even when you're doing the right thing, Brother Suhini and his group would make it look like it's political. Because if you're looking at it, at the time when President Kufuor, granted the request of the family. In 2013, at that time, 2007, it was 90 acres, right?
Yes.
But in 2013, it was increased.
Yes.
Under the NDC.
Yes, and he gave his reasons why.
Yes, and they gave a reason.
Yes.
That it was for the ecosystem, ecological, whatever
Right.
they're doing.
Right.
Okay. And then at this point in time, it's been increased again. But then in the minister's statement, it says that some of it had already been encroached on.
Yes.
So did that inform that decision?
Right.
You understand? So
Right.
that's where my point is. So I am saying that, when he was talking, I mentioned create, loot, and share.
Yes.
The ecosystem, the thing that they added onto, who in this world would know who was going to own that?
Right.
You understand? So I do not want, no, I'm
It
coming.
went to Parliament.
It went to Parliament, okay?
It was public.
No, but Parliament are
It went
human
to
beings there.
Parliament.
You understand?
A
My
limited
point
deal
I'm
was
trying to make,
publicized.
my point I'm trying to make is that you said Abu Jinapo maybe comes out with the decision and all that, okay? And he doesn't know who is going to be a minister then. So if that minister is going to be corrupt or not. We pass laws, okay, in the interest of the state and understand that people that are there will adhere to it. When somebody comes and falls foul of the law deals with the person. You understand? So if you try to actually taint the integrity of what is being done by saying that that person who is actually passing the law does not know who is going to be there tomorrow, it can be the Pope being there tomorrow. So I don't want us to go there. But the reason why I mentioned...
So what he's saying is that the current architecture of the law can make it easier for people who want to abuse it. That's the point he's making.
But our system, you see, even in Parliament, okay, if people want to abuse the system, they will abuse it. That's why there are punitive measures.
But you rather use law to make it difficult, not to make it easy. That's the point he's making.
We evolve, okay?
Yes.
The laws should be abreast with time. However, there are laws that existed in the 100th centuries and all that, but that are still there, which is trite, okay? If it's trite, you do not touch it. But it needs to move with time, you
Yes.
understand? So I'm saying that the laws are there
You
for
think
us.
this law has moved in with time?
If you allow me to finish.
Yeah,
saying-
154.
Okay, yeah. You
And
see,
144.
You see, when laws are passed,
Yes.
okay, there are punitive measures that if you break, you fall foul of it.
Yes.
So that's how our society
consequences,
is.
right.
And it's like that all over the world. But if you insinuate that the person actually coming out with the law or actually implementing it now doesn't know who is going to be there tomorrow, no, let's agree to it that it is there. And let's be with utmost good faith that whoever takes up the mantle in future would adhere to it. Okay? Because like I said, we don't know if it's the Pope who's going to be the next minister, which is not going to happen, you understand? But then we believe that the person that will be given that position will deal with it in utmost good faith. Now, the reason why I mentioned create, loot, and share was that everything, that argument that was, making, was to arrive at the point where there's going to be corruption. You understand? And my question is that at the time that in 2013, that they actually increased it, because you're saying that it was increased, it's been increased now. But why didn't you stick to Kufuor's agreement in 2007? But that time you had a reason to up it, and then you brought a reason to it.
Yes.
And then Abu Jinapo comes out with the reason that most of it has been encroached on.
Encroached by who? It's something I think we need to
No,
interrogate.
I'll answer that question too. You see, because we are in a system, you're talking about Abaye politics. Abaye politics, when in a year to elections, civil societies, associations and all that start agitating. And the government, like in our system, decided, no, okay, let's allow them to do what they have to do.
Out of pressure, political pressure.
Yes, it happens. And that's why I call it Abaye politics. Because if you go to Mokola, yeah, in an election year, you dare not touch them. You understand? And that is what we need to move. That's what I'm talking about, leaders being assertive. So should we wait till the end of the time, I'm getting closer to an election to make certain decisions? No. If you do that, then you are insulting the intelligence of the voter.
Right.
You understand? And our political dispensation is saying that people are discerning now. We moved from the opaque ballot box to the transparent and now to biometric. So those people that he dealt with in 1992 are not the same people now. Technology has evolved and things are happening. So you can't do those things, you see? But all I'm saying is that, you remember, let me give you an example. You remember the phrase, short cross in, short cross out. When Kobro Edusei advised them that they should pass the law so that by the time short cross gets into the country, there's a law passed. In this day and age, somebody could have even sent him a text at the airport to say that you shouldn't come, there's been a law has been passed. But it never happened. So I'm saying that we've moved to a certain point where things are done and people are discerning now. So statements come out, we need to interrogate them. But I'm saying that in 2007, if you said it was 90, there was a reason for it, okay? And then 2013, you increased it. Yours was a reason. That's why I'm asking, it was a great tension, because even if it goes through Parliament, you had the majority in Parliament, and I'm happy that we have 137 to text our Parliament so that Ghanaians get the best out of our institutions. So whatever has happened now, if it's going back to the old family, I'm saying that let's travel the journey of when the contract was birthed, 1921, 1927, and all that, and then see who is doing what. And then once the EI has been effected, we ensure that we all of us as citizens ensure that the right thing is.
Do you agree it was a mistake in the first place for the Kufuor administration to have granted this family some audience? That's what has brought us to where we are.
No.
And I'll ask Suhine's question being that, can you, in all conscience, deny other persons who have some ownership over other parcels of land which are forest reserved, who would then come and say,
open the floodgates?
Well, we hear that you are sharing, how do you call it, parcels of land in whatever reserves.
Okay.
We have documents that shows that we own so and so and so. Can you give us ours?
You see, when you ask my
Can you? You see, that's what I'm saying.
No, I will not blame you see, there's a reason for everything.
Yes, sure.
Yes, there's a reason for everything. And then time is of essence, okay? And based on the exigence.
You don't think it's a bad precedent?
No. You see, at the time it might be a good reason, but today it might not be. You understand?
I'm not sure if
no,
time was.
Please, if you allow me
if you can please land quick, because Madam wants to come in.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying that, okay, 90 acres at the time.
Yes.
This is the Achimota Forest Reserve, okay, in the heart of Accra, okay, in the heart of Accra. And the reasons attached to the Achimota Forest are different from other areas.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
So if you're saying that it's going to open the floodgates, where maybe a village somewhere where there's a forest reserve, and then you say that, okay, the reason why you came for the forest was for you to use it for certain things, and you haven't used it, so I'm taking it back. You understand? But you can apply it to where people you've actually given it to a mining company, and they're actually mining it there because you've declassified it. Then the family can come in. You understand? So if you look at it case by case, it is not like all the forest reserves in the country, which was compulsorily taken, will have to come, because there has to be a reason attached to it. That's what I'm saying, is that we have to look at the case by case. And then my brother spoke about the civil society that I said that they sway. No, I'm not saying they do that deliberately. What I'm saying is that they are floating voters. So statements that they make, you understand, at the time can sway floating voters. And then when it gets to that point, the NDC latches onto it and then to their political advantage. Okay. That's the point I was trying to make.
Fantastic. Madam Gloria,
yes, you asked me a question about
Article 20.
Article 20.
We need some education.
You know, I was just looking at Article 20, Clause 5 of the 1992 Constitution, which provides that any property compulsorily taken possession of or acquired in the public interest or for a public purpose shall be used only in the public interest or for the public purpose for which it was acquired. So Achimota Forest was acquired firstly for Achimota School and for other public purposes.
Yes.
So I don't understand what other purpose it should have been used for, which it's not being used for, and so the 3 factions or 4 factions of the Owu family are entitled to it. It's still serving its purpose. It's for public purpose. So I'm just looking at all these beautiful trees, which reminds me of the Moe Woods in California, and wondering what the 3, 4, or 5 factions of the Owu family can do to maintain this public, infrastructure. It's beautiful. I think what we should do is the 281 gazetted forests. We should find a way again of generating income, generating employment, and having it benefit our society. Maybe we should have a whole curriculum on forest and protecting forest reserves for our schools, right from kindergarten, and also for us adults who sometimes are even ignorant, because you can accuse us of cutting down trees and building and not planting even one plant. So that's what we should have a whole policy of protecting our forests. Maybe we've taken our forests for granted for too long. We think that the forests will always be there, but they will not. When you go to some areas in Ghana now, even the villagers, they have no farm. They can't farm because all the land has been taken over by residential areas and estate developers. So I remember a professor in one of our universities, probably Legon, kept warning us that very soon there'll be problems with food security and hunger and even the cost of food. Because when you go to some places, the villagers have to come to the capital city to buy food because now they don't have farms. So I think it should be not just Achimota forest, but a whole national holistic policy to protect our forest.
Okay.
So let us appreciate our forest.
Right.
Even tree planting, people don't understand it. I tried planting trees in my home, some part in my hometown, and I mean, people did not just get it. And I remember very well that an over 300-year tree, which we use for demarcation of boundaries, was illegally cut down.
Right.
And so let's look at it that way. I don't think we appreciate our forest, and we are not using it, and government is not even getting enough income and resources from it. So some public education and involvement must be involved. Okay. And we should not look at just today. 10 years, 20 years, 30. Gaggisberg in 1927 was looking way ahead than I'm sorry to say some of us are. And I don't know who is advising the president regarding these forest issues. I think those people should, do some form of research and education about the use of forests for public purpose, for income generation, for wealth creation, and for employment.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me just before you come in, I've turned some messages. Let me read it, and then Alas and Suni will come in with, because we have just 7 minutes. So I'm going to do this in 2 minutes. Alas and Suni will probably use 2-3 minutes to educate us on the question I asked about what he makes of government's decision to go through the EI instead of going through Parliament in order to get this thing done. And then you can take your final. Everybody will have here 1 minute each, and then we can wrap up. So some messages coming through here. This one here says, good morning, Moro. The situation in Ghana is so bad that Ghanaians are now using VAR to check and confirm if President Anado is the one that they voted for. That's Mohamed Halidu from Garrett in Pani. Nani Kwamabuating Ablekuma Central says, good morning, Moro. It is very important that the lands minister sets the record straight to too much misinformation from the NDC headquarters, which has the propensity to cause disaffection to the ruling government. Anyway, best wishes to Chairman Eric Nate, Yeboah, aka Chairman Dollar, Greater Accra Regional Second Vice Chairman Hopeful, Nane Kwema Boating Ablekuma Central, aka Levy is good. And this one says, good morning, Moro. I like the gentleman who is aspiring to become MP General Secretary. I think he's the type we need. That's coming from Nane Kia in Jowulu. And this one says, good morning to you. Okay, this one it's about something else. Good morning. Good morning, I'm enjoying your program. It's a very nice program. African leaders must know that each one of them will be held accountable for every coin they spend. I meant every African leader. That's coming from Kweku in Ablekuma. Bro, good greetings to you and your resource persons, including my relation, Charles Bisu. Moro, tell him tell him it's too late for his party to come out clean in Achimota Forest and other economic issues now. Point is, anytime it comes into government, appointees are seen in grabbing state lands. Ghana Telecom, Ghana Airways, and International Students Hostel lands that were spread all over cantonments, rich airport, residential area, typical example. If not, for our noise against the International Students Hostel land at the airport, now housing Foreign Affairs Ministry, the Kufuor government would have shared it amongst its appointees and friends. Truth be told, the MPP as a party has destroyed the party's image via all these negatives. Papa Bisu in Accra sends that message. Mukaila Jonah says, my fervent regards to my incoming General Secretary, Charles Cromwell, Onyawonto. I hope I got the pronunciation right. Onyawonto, BC, for making brilliant submissions prior to the Achimota Forest saga. I personally think we become very careful when tackling the developmental initiative of the forest because it's been one of the beautiful natural ecological setup here in Accra. Area Madenta News says, our current leader don't care about the future and will do everything to destroy it. The challenge is when the perceived youth support them in all in the name of politics. We want to plant trees, but willing to destroy the already established ones. Should everything in this country be based just on MPP and NDC thing? And what a country, so sad. This one says, in fact, the Achimota Forest issue was premeditated and introduced to shift Ghanaians' attention from the hardship we're going through, the violence meted out to innocent people in the country, and the create loot and share. In the name of old family. Clarkson from Cape Coast, and I'll take two more. Good morning, please. What is about the MPP and deliberate grabbing of Garland? Do you recall how they attempted to decimate the land that is now serving the state as the current Foreign Affairs Ministry, which has either 200 to cronies, but for the timely intervention of the late Professor J. Mills? That's Mohammed Suka from Ablekuma North. And this one's a good morning. The Ministry of Land and Natural Resources should immediately revise their decision for declassifying the Achimota Forest, assuming they give the land to the so-called owner family now, and the next day another family rise up to reclaim their forefathers' land, meaning the state is going to lose these forest resources which have a purpose to serve in the country and our lives. I'm disappointed. That's power from Seshi. And finally, my name is Asama from Seshi, Patakura in the Bodi district. Moro, this is a deliberate attempt by the MPP government to create loot and share. Common sense must tell this government that all the investment they have done to green Ghana through the afforestation program is not equivalent to what they are giving out to the old family. The strategic purpose of this forest should alone inform this government not to go ahead with the move. The minister should save us with his inconsistencies. Good morning, Honorable Suhini. And this one's Honorable Suhini. The guy says, you've been a blessing to the constituency. That's from the guy who just sent the message. Okay, so yeah, we go. So I think Suhini is the one who wants to. Yes, the question about EI Parliament. Yes. Yes.
Well, Charles Bissiu is wrong. The memorandum of understanding that the old family signed with President Kufuor actually gave them about 191 acres. So the NDC government didn't increase it. In fact, in the earlier communication, the NDC got it wrong. You know, we rather ran with the minister's 90 acres. But it is
So
wrong.
when did you get it wrong?
It is 100. When we have reviewed the
194.
it is 194. That was given the old family.
By the Kufuor government.
By the Kufuor government.
Okay.
Which the NDC government reduced to 118. In fact, 118. The one that the head lease that they signed is 118. So we didn't increase it. So when you ask the question of why did we increase it, the question is relevant today. Why it had to increase from 118 to 361. And let us not forget that 361, I keep saying, is about half of the existing forest, because the total forest cover today in that area is about 889 acres.
Right.
So when you are giving them 360, you are talking about almost half of the forest, because the 889 includes Gimpa, Noga Hill, and others. So let's not deceive ourselves that is the periphery. Why they did not go through Parliament? Uboro, your guess is as good as mine. But what they have also done is legal.
Okay.
If you look at Cap 157,
Okay.
Section 19, I'm just trying to pull it up. That is the Forest Act, 1927.
Right.
Cap 157. Section 19 gives the president the power to declassify forest reserves.
Okay.
I wanted to read the relevant portions. Okay, it's here. It says, power to declare forest no longer reserved.
Okay.
The president may, if satisfied that a particular land should not be a forest reserve, by executive instrument published in the Gazette, direct that from a date specified in the order, the land or a portion of that land reserved under this act shall cease to be a forest reserve.
Right.
So it says that the president may, if he is satisfied that an area should be declared a non-forest reserve,
Okay.
go through the executive instrument route.
So
and that is
legally-
what they have
legally-
done. So legally,
It's kosher.
it is correct. But, you know,
Politically and morally.
morally,
You
it
think
is
you would have
wrong.
gone through
And
Parliament?
economically.
And economically.
Please,
No, no, no,
let's
So,
bring
because you
in
see,
the
why
economic
economic?
aspect.
you
Let's
see,
bring
the
in
president
economic
exercises
aspect.
this authority.
Yes.
That Section 19 of Cap 157 gives him on behalf of the people of Ghana.
Right.
So it says when he is satisfied, it will be important for him to give us the reasons that
The
satisfy
basis
him.
for his satisfaction.
Exactly. It will be important. So when we are asking the questions, we are asking the questions because he's exercising this authority that he has
For and on
under,
behalf.
you know, Section 19 for and on behalf of us.
Right.
So we will want to know what satisfied him to not just,
okay.
you know, de-gazette it, but to even increase the acreage in the EI 144, because we don't believe that this action is in our
A
interest.
comprehensive report on that.
We don't believe that this action is in our interest. So we need to be convinced. As things stands now, the minority is saying that the president must revoke the EI. Especially...
Are you going to summon the minister?
But,
Oh, obviously. I mean, when Parliament resumes on Tuesday, it will be one
do
of the
that.
first things on our plate. We think that the president must revoke, you know, the EI 144 because
Right.
it will not serve the interests of, you know,
Okay.
forest preservation in this country. And it makes nonsense, Moro.
Okay.
It makes nonsense of all the investments and the campaigns and the programs we
Afforestation
have been
projects.
engaging in as a country, to promote tree plantation.
Honorable Charles, 30 seconds, and then Michael.
Okay.
Because our time is up.
So Ini.
In a nutshell, what I say, you think is good. There's nothing wrong. Nothing untoward.
If he's saying that it was decreased to 118.
Okay.
At the same time, I think 563 of the land was actually allocated for
Yes.
the eco tourism thing that they were
Yes.
doing. So it was increased, right?
Yes.
So
No, it wasn't increased. Let me explain to you.
563
No.
Within that 2013.
Yeah.
If under the President Mohammed
Unfortunately.
No, it's not unfortunately. He's saying that they decreased.
To be honest with you,
In the 563.
the whole
in the year
forest was
20
to be an eco park. It's not like part of it
But
was
the
to be
real-
eco park
in
or something. And
2013.
that deal was published. It
No,
was
you said
publicized. But Akan, I think it was Akan Limited. Yes,
Yes, I can.
So it was actually leased for something else.
Yes.
You understand? So it was increased.
Okay.
All I'm
No,
saying
it
is
wasn't
that
increased.
Whatever it is.
191
you
to
understand?
118 is
no,
not
no,
an
no.
increase.
You see, that's
It's not an increment.
he's hitting his KPIs, but actually interjecting. That's his KPI. That at the end of the meeting, he should start interjecting.
No, but
so I make no
191
sense.
to
No,
118.
I think you made your point.
Children
I
in
think you
school
made
are
your point.
He succeeded.
I get
He
it.
succeeded.
You made your point.
So let me
Children
conclude.
in school
So
are
the
listening. So
Achimota forest is not for-
118 and 119.
Okay, you can have your two.
Mike, I beg you, if you can do this in about 1 minute, I'll be very happy. We have to conclude. Yes.
The story no sweet.
I think
You can't defend it.
he's not going to allow anybody to.
Please allow Michael
Mike,
to land.
sorry.
So the minister mentioned that, of course, compensation was paid for the first acquisition. And then he mentioned that for the second acquisition, the 1927, there is no record of payment. He could have said no payment was made.
Right.
But he said there was no record of payment.
Right.
It brings some difference here. And so why the haste when you don't have record of payment?
What
What
if
it means
tomorrow?
is that there may have been payment after all. It could be that compensation was paid. And now when you go to Bryce Simon's page on Twitter, for instance, he's saying that how many also know that the families got paid in 1930?
I'm told the MCI is about to cut us. So I want to thank you very much for. No, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry about this. This is what sometimes happens. MCI, we're sorry. I want to thank you very much for joining us. My resource persons. I may not be able to mention everybody's name, but my name is Moro Audu. Thanks for watching another edition of Inside Pages. Same time next week Saturday, I'll be here. We'll do a part 2 of this conversation because we're not done yet. Have a good day. Bye bye.